Guys, I think we have a problem. We're losing all our memory. I'm just kidding. But in all honesty, we're having a huge memory crisis. A global RAM shortage is pushing the price of RAM upwards every single day. And this time it's not just being caused by consumers, but our new best friend, AI. But first, what is RAM? RAM simply stands for random access memory. This is the computer's high-speed short-term memory that is responsible for holding data for your operating system, for apps that are running currently in your PC, and allows your processor to easily have access to this information to do whatever you need to do. And with the global supply of modern day DDR4 and DDR5 RAM tightening drastically, prices are increasing, inventories are dropping, and manufacturers are warning that this shortage could last well into 2026 and beyond. And at the center of this RAM shortage, we have the top three memory producers in the world: Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. These three companies hold a large majority of the world's DRAM production. They make the small memory chips that you see on your RAM modules. When they make these memory chips, they sell them to companies like Corsair, Intel, G-Skills, who in turn assemble this into the memory modules that you see every single day. And those top three companies are warning that are pushing their manufacturing and factories to focus more on high bandwidth memory, the kind used in AI data systems. And with Micron, one of the big three memory manufacturers, already announcing its exit from consumer RAM production in an effort to fully focus its manufacturing and production into making high bandwidth memory for AI data centers. Obviously, the prices of RAM are not coming down anytime soon. But but the thing I have to ask, these memory companies are not the ones only to blame. We also have the AI companies to blame. Companies such as OpenAI, Anthropic, and Grok. Companies who use this high bandwidth memory to train their large language models, e.g. ChatGPT. These models are trained by feeding them with huge amounts of data that must be processed quickly to get results. They also use them in their data centers for carrying out computational tasks and for replying to user requests quickly and efficiently. Besides, AI servers don't just need more memory, they need faster, denser, more power hungry memory chips. The same type of memory that's produced in the same factories and the same manufacturing methods as everyday consumer RAM. Obviously, with the high demand for AI centered components, the prices of RAM are going to keep on increasing year on year. The result, more expensive tech. Your PCs, your laptops, your tablets are going to become more expensive than they usually are. And in all honesty, this isn't a temporary supply hiccup. RAM manufacturers are taking the conscious decision to push all their effort into fulfilling the AI demand because the AI infrastructure is far more profitable, far more predictable, and is backed by long-term contracts that must be fulfilled any way necessary. Besides, consumer hardware cannot live up to this or even match up to the money that AI systems are going to pay them. Already seeing the effects, DDR5 RAM is getting expensive year over year. PC manufacturers warning that the higher prices are going to lead to far more expensive tech for everyone. We're seeing cloud bills become higher in price and become more expensive for the everyday user. And we're seeing people having to buy RAM and memory at far more higher prices than they usually have to. And unlike CPUs and GPUs, RAM is unavoidable. Every device that you can think of has some sort of RAM in it and will need to be fitted with RAM. So your upgrades are definitely going to become more expensive. And besides, these AI companies are not just going to take all the cost. That cost is going to be transferred onto you. That's why I see more expensive components across the board because some way, somehow, money has to be made for these companies. But however, this isn't the first time I've seen a huge spike in demand of RAM. Back in the mid 2010s, there was a huge surge in demand and price of RAM. This surge was caused by an increasingly developing technology industry. Smartphones were getting more expensive. Your laptops were getting faster. Your everyday technology became more advanced and needed more memory. Back then, the top manufacturers simply decided it was more profitable to invest more in manufacturing and factories. So the question you might ask yourself, why not repeat this process? The short answer is profit. These companies could do that, but will they? Probably not. The high demand of RAM simply means they can put a higher price on the RAM that they sell and in turn make more profit. And also, additionally, make, investing more in infrastructure isn't just putting money into building more factories. It takes years and years of planning and building to get these factories up and running. You need to hire new technicians for these factories. And building RAM is a very complicated process that not many people are trained and know how to do efficiently. Also, the machines that are used in producing RAM are not cheap and they take years to assemble and build. That's why we currently have only three top manufacturers in the world. That simply tells you how much of a technical industry RAM making is. So obviously, these companies are not going to want to take a risk. When the AI bubble that's currently fueling the demand for this RAM could burst in a few years, and when it bursts, they're left with a lot of inventory that they will eventually have to sell at a loss. And obviously, these companies will not want to make a loss on such a large investment. And as such, everyone else has to pay the price. Besides, we've seen this before in technology. A new branch or new invention comes, and everyone is has so much hype around it. We saw this with GPUs during the crypto boom. We had scalpers on many websites looking for the newest 30 series GPUs because they wanted to build mining PCs so they can mine cryptocurrency. Eventually, the whole crypto boom died down and they were left with excess GPUs that they had to sell on different markets at lower prices. And that led to a crash in the GPU market. You could buy GPUs much cheaper than they were at the beginning of crypto boom. We saw this with CPUs during the pandemic. There was so much uncertainty, people began stockpiling CPUs and selling them on eBay and so on. When the pandemic eventually ended, there was such a huge supply of CPUs that the prices eventually dropped. And besides, this time memory is the bottleneck. In an industry so complex as memory manufacturing, investing in infrastructure simply doesn't cause the problem. Shortages don't just die down instantly. And by the time the new infrastructure is up and running, the demand for this RAM could have possibly ended. The industry isn't built for efficiency. Sorry, I made a mistake. The industry isn't built for balance. It's built for efficiency and profit. So, what do you think these companies are going to make a priority? Obviously, the profit. And what's giving them the profit? The AI industry. So, in conclusion, the real issue isn't just that RAM is getting more expensive. The real issue is that as AI infrastructure grows every single day, everyone else is going to have to pay the price, not just the AI companies. Your PC upgrade, your laptop upgrade, your smartphone upgrade, your cloud bill, everything is going to feel the price. But the real, but the real question I put to you, are we ready to live in a society where our needs are not placed as the top priority, where there isn't a balance, where companies are favoring efficiency and profit over fulfilling consumer relationship? Because right now, as these companies are pushing the inventory and pushing their manufacturing towards the AI market, they're losing a lot of customers, especially enthusiasts who build their own PCs. That's what we're seeing in so many people. People that hated on buying pre-made PCs are turning to pre-made PCs right now because building your own PC takes a lot of money. Back then, you could easily build a good running PC for under $1,000. Right now, you can see, if you go on different websites, you can buy a singular pack of RAM, a 32 gig pack of RAM for over $1,000. Imagine that. You haven't even factored the price of your GPU, your CPUs, your power units all into one, and you're already paying over $1,000 for RAM. What do you think will happen? People will lose love for it, and eventually it will die down. And besides, when the AI bubbles die down, and people want to go back to PC making, will they trust these manufacturers? Probably not. By the end of the day, they only left with one choice, because these are the few people that made the PCs. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. This has been a really intense and draining video to make. There was a lot of complications with editing, shooting, and so on. But I thank you all for your patience. And I encourage you to please engage with the channel more and more. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. We want to keep growing and venturing into all different things. We're working on a lot of things to make the channel better, so stay tuned. So see you in the next one. Bye. Hey.